Members, do we have any questions? The Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. My question today is to the Premier in his capacity as Treasurer. Premier, given you promised Western Australian families on the 31st of May 2021 that you would keep increases to household fees and charges capped at inflation, which was then 1.75%, I ask, will you maintain this approach in your 2022-23 budget, noting the consumer price index is currently at an alarming 5.7% a year on year to December, or will you guarantee a freeze on fees and charges to ease the burden on families already struggling to make ends meet?
The Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Can I thank the the Deputy Leader of the Opposition for the question. Obviously the budget will come down in May, as you'd expect me to answer your question, and we will provide full advice at that point in time as to what the approach will be in relation to all these things. But I just want to make it clear, we do understand that cost of living pressures are significant on families across Western Australia, particularly in light of what has gone on in Ukraine with the Russian invasion and what that has done to the cost of goods such as fuel, but also the pressure it's placed on other goods as well across Australia and indeed in Western Australia. So we're very aware that this pressure is there. Our record does stand though, and it's very clear what our record is, and when you compare our government with the last Liberal National government, the cost of living increases have been significantly less than over the term of the last Liberal National government, particularly when it comes to electricity and water charges, where they're running at roughly half the increase of the last Liberal National government. I remember being in here in those years, particularly at first term of the last Liberal National government, and in some years the price of electricity was put up by 20 or 30% in 1 year, and that's what you did when you're in office. On the other hand, we recognise cost of living pressures are there. In the last budget, we kept it at or below the rate of inflation. I think that was the case in the one before that as well. We also provided a $600 electricity rebate in 2020, which the Liberal Party condemned when we provided that support for households. The Liberal Party condemned it, said it was a mistake. And what that did was provide some support to families, particularly as we came out of the most dramatic impacts of COVID in 2020 with their cost of living pressures. More recently, there's a few examples, but we provided free rapid antigen tests to families across Western Australia. Again, the opposition has condemned that. So we are the only government in Australia providing free rat tests to families across the state, and we'll do more of it. And on top of that, we also came up with the amazing two-zone fare policy, which we took to the state election, which rolls out to, 75% of the state's population. Some families actually save up to $3,000 a year through that policy. $3,000 a year for a state government policy to enhance the use of public transport and ensure that people don't pay too much for it. And at the same time, we kept the country age pension fuel card and a whole range of other initiatives and put them up, or the entitlement up in some cases. So, look, our record is there. We understand the issue is out there in the community. We accept that it's significant for many families, and we're very aware of it as we lead up to the preparation of the budget.
Thank you.
Supplementary.
Treasurer. Supplementary.
Thank you, pardon. I read some interesting things today about you. Premier, you have a $5.8 billion surplus. Why can't you take this opportunity to provide certainty to families that they won't be hit with increased government charges in the budget?
Treasurer.
Mr Deputy Speaker, obviously in the lead up to the budget, the government will make announcements, as it indeed will, on budget day. Now, the Prime Minister was asked this question the other week. I saw him on the television. It was David Spears or someone was asking him about these issues, and he said exactly that in the lead up to the budget, the government will make announcements in relation to these sorts of things. But you have identified something, and that is that this government are the best financial managers in Australia. Best financial managers in Australia. And I'll provide you with some evidence of that shortly. But we do, because of our management of the finances, only government in Australia reducing debt, only government in Australia in surplus. We do have some capacity that other governments around Australia don't have, which is a sign of 5 years of strong management of the finances. Now, I know the Liberals and Nationals condemn us for that as well. So you condemn us for providing relief to households, you condemn us for providing the strongest financial management in Australia. It's hard to know what you stand for. Hard to know what you stand for, apart from criticising the government. That appears to be it. And it doesn't matter what the issue is, you pick a side, whatever the issue is, to just criticise. That's what you do. There's no consistency, there's no policy, there's no belief, there's no analysis of the issues. It's just find whatever the government does and criticise. And that's it. And if you don't think people, if you're not aware that people see through you, I think you've got another thing coming.